Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
We're coming up on kickoff, 12:30 against Oklahoma State. 10:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. I just wrapped up my conversation with offensive coordinator Will Stein, went position by position. Preview of that interview, which will be part of that 10:30 pregame show, a lot of names. That's a good thing. You always want to have depth. You always want to have options. The coaches talk about above-the-line players. I think this offense has a lot of those. We'll talk with Will Stein coming up as part of that pregame. And today we will preview Oregon-Oklahoma State with a view from the other side of this matchup. Dave Hunziker is the voice of the Cowboys, coming up on year 25, I believe, as the voice of Oklahoma State. We'll talk with him. Also, Oregon Volleyball is 1-0 at Matthew Knight Arena this season. The first victory for Trent Kirsten at home. The Ducks are 4-0 overall, 1-0 at home with a 3-0 sweep of the Pilots of Portland last night at Matthew Knight Arena. Congratulations, Coach Kirsten and the team, 4-0. And they're back at home for another one this weekend. We'll tell you about that coming up. Also, a few Oregon football student-athletes previewing the matchup at Autzen. And Tracy Joiner, Oregon soccer head coach, will be with us before they hit the road this week. Mike Meniga just opened the door. Oregon assistant coach just opened the door. All right. We gotta go. We gotta get into our interview so that I can see why Coach Meniga just brought in a belt that looks like. Yeah, we're gonna get to Dave Hunziker here in a moment. The Cowboy voice will preview Oregon and Oklahoma State with the voice of Oklahoma State. Here's our chat with Dave Hunziker. Begin with our usual tradition as we talk with the voice of the Cowboys, Oklahoma State's Dave Hunziker is with us. Dave, thank you for taking the time. We have a tradition here in the studio that the first time you come on the show, you have to tell us your 2-minute life story. We're competitive. I will time you. And I will tell you that another broadcaster whose team wears orange and black is in our top 5, and I would really love for you to replace him in the top 5 as another broadcaster that wears orange and black.
Understood. Okay. You just tell me when to go.
On your marks, get set, go.
Okay. Grew up in a small town in northeast Missouri. Lost my dad when I was 12 to cancer. He was exposed to asbestos when he was in the Navy in World War II. But went to the University of Missouri to journalism school. John Anderson is one of my very close friends. We were classmates. He of ESPN fame. So that worked out well. I've worked Division I jobs at Radford and at Western Kentucky. And this is year number 25 at Oklahoma State. And I still have them conned. If I can keep that going for maybe 8-10 more years, it'd be awesome. I have 2 wonderful daughters. I just had my granddaughter, first grandchild, 3 weeks ago. So that's a big deal. And interesting notes about me. I am a professional bowler. I am a PBA member, but I have never made a flippin' dime bowling professionally. So I don't know why I do it. I love it. But, you get your butt kicked. It humbles you. So it's always good to get your butt kicked. But actually, it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's my thing. It's pretty boring, but there you go.
Minute 3. That was efficient. That is a broadcaster that knows how to get to the point right there, Dave. I applaud you.
Hey, we're not messing around, dude.
Okay. Now,
we are not messing around.
I have to ask you about the bowling aspect because I might have been tipped off to that, Dave, by some of our colleagues, if I'm being honest. So how many times have you bowled a perfect game in your life?
I've had 4. I just got back into it in 2016. So I've really only been back at it about 8 years.
Okay.
So I've had 4, and all of those have actually come in the last 2 years. So, yeah, I've been lucky. It's a blast. Here's the deal. I love sports. I love being challenged. And I like to think. I mean, I'm one of those learner types, one of those learner people. And it's a combination of all. There's some athleticism to it. You bowl 8 straight games over 5.5 hours without a break. That's not the easiest thing to do. That's what is done on the PBA. And so there's some athleticism to it, and you learn a lot about yourself. Can you focus? Can you stay engaged? Can you make the right decisions? Can you learn as you go, even when you're losing and not doing so well? Can you still make something good come from it by keeping your brain engaged and learning? And the guys out there are awesome. It has been so cool to be around the different guys that I've met. Relationships are what make it so much fun. And I've been fortunate. And my wife, despite being gone a lot, is totally cool with it, which means she hates me, well, obviously, because she doesn't want me being around. So, I mean, that's probably what the deal is. She hates me, and that's fine. We've been at it for 32 years. It's no big deal.
That's right. Dave, that's great. I love it. Now, to the football question, I got to ask you a little bit about, look, so here's what I was talking about just on the show yesterday, Dave. Like, the fact that there were 18 straight winning seasons and then suddenly it's an 0-9 record, like that was just outlandish in Oklahoma State history under Coach Gundy. So what was last year like, and as a result, what were the expectations heading into this season for the Cowboys?
Here's what triggered all of that was catastrophic injuries. Colin Oliver, an All-American candidate, defensive end / outside linebacker, goes down week 2 against Arkansas. And then you have Nick Martin, who's now at the San Francisco 49ers, is fighting D. Winters for the linebacker job, the outside linebacker job away from the legend, if you will, for the 49ers. So he's, so he was an All-American level player. And so when we lose him week 4 against K-State, so now defensively you're really in a bind, because outside of those two guys, we had some nice players, but nobody that was anywhere close to that. And so it sort of just took the heart and soul out of their football team. And then on top of that, offensive line did not have a good year. So Ollie Gordon, the returning Doak Walker Award winner, never got going. Offensively, it was a big struggle. And it's one of those things, once it starts, it can snowball. And this team had really a chance to sort of resurrect the season at BYU. And very competitive game. Cowboys surprised them with a lot of quarterback run game. And Oklahoma State took the lead with about 1:10 to go. And then you look out in the secondary and you see 4 guys that have never been in that position before, trying to close out a game. And I said that on the air. It's like, okay, we're in good shape here, but you look out there and you see 4 guys that have never done this. And you can figure out what happened. So it got going sideways, and once it did, it never got control of it again. So what are the expectations this year? I said on the air last Thursday before we started the first game against UT Martin, I don't have any expectations. I don't know that there's any way to have them, because you have 60 some odd new players. 35 or so arrived in the summer, late spring transfer portal additions, freshmen, etc. And so this is kind of ridiculous, but I'm kind of looking at this year as a blank slate. It's hard to know what to expect. And even after week 1, to be honest, I don't think I know anything. I don't know much more now than I did before we played the first game. Maybe that's just because I'm not smart enough. That could be the issue.
That's usually what I say about myself. So you and I are on the same page here. But now here's the thing, though. It had to feel good to get a win. I don't care what the score is,
Absolutely.
Dave. Like, Cowboy fans just wanted to have a win last week.
No doubt. And that's how I felt. Now, I think some of our fans didn't really quite get that. That's the way I approached it. This team just needed to beat somebody when you have a brand new quarterback that had never played, both of them, Haas Haney and Zane Flores, never played, basically. Of course, Haney played a few snaps at TCU, but Flores has never played. You have 10, roughly, of 11 offensive starters that have never started a game at Oklahoma State, maybe started someplace else. So you have all this newness. So you're just kind of hoping you get through it and don't screw up enough to get you beat. So Oklahoma State didn't turn the ball over. Again, given the lack of experience at quarterback, that's a good thing. Penalties weren't really an issue. I think they had a few drops, 3 or 4 drops by the wide receivers. That's too many. But, all told, it's like, hey, offense could have been better. But at this point, in the infancy of this season with all the new players, it's we won't really know what this team is until about week 4 or week 5, a month down the road. Then we'll know.
Well, and of course, then throw in, the worst thing that happens in sports, injuries, right? I mean, and you have to deal with that in a game. So just tell fans about what that process has been like now, getting another quarterback going in this system.
Well, here's the thing, though, that's interesting. Haas Haney started, but I don't, he and Zane Flores, I mean, honestly, I thought Zane would be the starter, if you're asking me, even as deep as 3 days before the game. I mean, I put Zane Flores at the top of my spotter board and then found out that it was going to be Haas. It was fairly even. And then Haas goes out and uses his world-class speed. His mom was a track star, and his dad played football at TCU, so the gene pool is really good, and he has received all of it and uses it. And so he's running around making all these plays, on the improv, doing what he does best, and then he gets hurt. He breaks his foot. And Zane Flores comes in, who is a very gifted passer and a better runner than what you might think. So Zane was more than ready. He had taken as many, if perhaps more, first-team reps in the preseason than Haas Haney did. So the hard part for Zane is he's a good runner, but he can't just take off and run away from guys off the improv if the offensive line breaks down and doesn't protect. There needs to be some degree of complementary run game. There wasn't much of that at all against UT Martin. So if you have things functioning around him just reasonably well, he'll make the throws. And he's more than an adequate enough runner. But, unless you have just world-class speed, if you don't protect and you don't run the ball, your quarterback doesn't have much of a chance.
Yeah,
so that needs to get better for sure.
And you answered a bit of my next question actually there, Dave. Just talking about what is the offense going to look like? What's the identity here moving forward?
Well, I don't think it changes much. I mean, there's some quarterback run game elements that would be unique to Haas that will disappear for a while until he comes back. There's some of that. There's not a ton of it. The one thing that is different about this Oklahoma State team compared to previous teams is, Doug Meacham, the new offensive coordinator, is not shy about throwing the ball downfield. And I think, if I remember correctly, and I should have put my spotter boards in front of me, but I think they attempted 13 deep passes. Almost half of their pass attempts were considered deep balls by Pro Football Focus. That is a ton. They have not lived in that world. Previous years, for example, last year about 11% were deep balls. Previous year, about 12%. And then 2021, when Oklahoma State won the regular season Big 12 title, it was in that range as well, about 11 to 12%. So that's different, and that's a Doug Meacham thing. So that's something to watch for. If anyone has watched Oklahoma State in the past, and I don't know how much your fans have paid attention, you've got a new league to be learning about, so I don't know how much you've paid attention. But if you have, you've seen that's changed about Oklahoma State. It used to be a football team that on a regular basis had guys like Tylan Wallace, a Biletnikoff winner, James Washington, a Biletnikoff winner, Justin Blackman, a Biletnikoff winner, and you'd see deep balls going to those guys all the time. With Washington, it was the post. With Blackman, it was pretty much anything you wanted to throw to him. And with Tylan, it was it was kind of the go route where he could go play jump ball. But so that had gone away for several years, and now it's come back.
That's Dave Hunziker, the voice of the Cowboys, getting ready for a 12:30 kickoff at Autzen Stadium. He'll have the call on the Cowboy Radio Network coming up. We'll continue to preview that matchup when we come back. It's Stuck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs, and for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you, continuing our conversation, previewing Cowboys and Ducks at Autzen Stadium with the voice of Oklahoma State, Dave Hunziker. Now, on the other side, what about the defense, Dave? I mean, what do you expect this year? What do you expect this weekend?
Yeah. Well, brand new, one thing I should point out, brand new coaching staff except for Coach Gundy. I'm not sure that there's ever been a precedent for that. New coordinator and all new assistants on both sides. So there you go. It's like my wife said, all these new players and these new coaches. She said, Dave, you got a new job, except you didn't change locations and you didn't get any more money. It's like, wow. I had to go on walks in the morning and take a roster with me so I could memorize. It's like, it's pretty wild. It's just been so much change. But defensively, Todd Grantham comes with a pretty significant pedigree. He'd been a defensive coordinator in the SEC, a stop at Florida, and then in the NFL as a defensive line coach with the New Orleans Saints. It's a very aggressive defense. He really likes to bring pressure. The trick part of it for an offense is you don't know where it's coming from. It comes from all over the place, from anybody at any time. Kind of has origins. If you remember, we go way back to Dick LeBeau in the NFL. That would be in the 80s, so we're going way back. Sorry, younger people, we've really gone ancient on you here. But that's sort of what it reminds me of. And, defense is pretty good against UT Martin. They're very fond of their linebackers, many of which are new. They're very fond of their defensive line. They have more depth, I think, in the defensive line than what they've had. And as far as returnees go, in the secondary, you've got 3 players that actually came back from last year's team. Cale Smith is a returnee, as is Cam Smith and Dylan Smith. So 2 of them are brothers, 1 is not. And so you've got 3 guys back there with a lot of experience. So it's a defense that he was able to teach it quickly. I think the guys understand it, and it will be aggressive. There will be, it will come from all directions.
Back to this matchup in a moment, but I want to hit the time machine button and go back with you to 2008. What do you remember from that Holiday Bowl matchup? Because this is the kind of thing that I go down the rabbit hole of, well, when was the last time these programs have seen each other? And the Holiday Bowl is the first thing that pops up. What do you remember from that years ago?
I've tried to forget it, if you want the honest to goodness truth, and here's why. Really have. The thing that bothered everybody about that game, and Coach Gundy is at the top of the list, was we felt like Oregon physically whipped us. And that upset a lot of people in our football program, to which Coach Gundy made some changes. We have an awesome strength and conditioning program. That's something we weren't used to. And that made him even more committed to say, that's not happening again. That is not going to happen again. Because that's what happened. I mean, Masoli and all your guys just ran through us. I can remember Des Bryant turning his ankle and slipping and falling in that game. That I can remember that field being like a skating rink. It was really bad, but that wasn't any excuse. We got manhandled physically, and that resonated for a couple of years in Oklahoma State's program to say, "Hey, that's no more of that." And so it was an interesting dynamic, and that's what stands out because again, that was such a thing that bothered so many people within the football program that we had gone hard with strength and conditioning anyway, but I think it was just a decision. It's like, you know what, we just got to go harder. And whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't happen again.
That's interesting. Dave Hunziker, our guest, voice of the Cowboys. I realize this next question might be then a bit informed by what you just said, but I always like to ask, especially in these matchups where we don't see each other often, what is your view and what is the Oklahoma State fan base view of the University of Oregon? What do you think of the Ducks?
Well, tremendous respect. And I think in some ways we I think prior to the last few years, I think we would think of ourselves as sort of kindred spirits, so to speak, in that programs that really for a significant part of their histories didn't win all that much. And then all of a sudden, things changed. And all of a sudden, you start having NFL guys come out left and right. You have guys that win national awards for being the best at their positions. And you have really good coaches. And you have a dedication to facilities and putting the money behind the program to make it work. And, of course, Oregon has continued that into the new area of college football. And they've done a wonderful job with it. They've been very wise with what they've done financially. All you have to do is look at last year's NFL draft. I think you had a record number of draft picks, and looks like about 9 guys are on the deck to be drafted again in the spring draft. So that tells you they're making the right decisions. And Dan Lanning was obviously one of those decisions. So it's a lot of respect, and certainly that's true on the basketball side as well. Dana Altman is a native Big 8/Big 12 guy that I think everybody has tremendous respect for. I know I certainly do. And so I think they always think when they think of Oregon, they think of him, and they think of the awesome job he's done there, and they think fondly of his time as head coach at Kansas State, and of course prior to that, assistant to Lon Kruger there. So yeah, it's there's a lot of respect there, and I think we feel like that at least in part of the last 25 years, we've kind of been on the same page. And the fact is, you guys beat Oklahoma in a controversial game out there several years ago. So as long as you've done that, our people here are totally good with it. They'll have a parade for you guys. It's been like 20 years. When you guys come here and you return the game, they'll just have a parade because that made them happy, really happy. But no, a lot of respect for sure.
I'm with you because I've actually felt that way, similarly. Like these are programs that in the last 25 years have just been on the rise. And I'll put this in context for you. I was talking earlier this week on our show about, hey, remember when this game got scheduled? And when this game got announced, because these things are done so far in advance now, right, Dave? I mean, it's like I remember the excitement around the schedule announcement of these games. And I think that speaks volumes to where both these programs are in recent memory.
Oh, same here. I mean, when those schedules started getting released, here's the deal, too. In 2 years, we got a home and home starting with Alabama.
Right.
That starts here. I mean, we have not lived in that world. And part of it is intentionally scheduling, when you don't have maybe quite as much depth as some of the teams you're competing with. And then, of course, in the old days, that was Texas and Oklahoma, who had lots of depth, lots of draft picks. You had to be smart about how you scheduled the non-conference. You certainly didn't want to get your team beat up physically or mentally going into your conference play because you needed to be as healthy as you could when you encountered those two teams. And in the case of Oklahoma, it was always the last game of the season. So that was always tricky because they had more depth. Season rolls along. You get guys hurt. Guys are beat up. They're not 100%. But still, had moments against the Sooners and won the regular season a couple of times. But, yeah, it's oh, man, I remember it's like you just go around town with all that was being announced. People are like, Oregon, are you serious? We're going to play Oregon home and home? And we're going to play Alabama home and home? It's like, heck yeah.
Right.
And so it's we're seeing more of that, which is good for college football to have, some of these teams from the elite conferences playing one another in the non-conference. it's good for the sport. It gets people excited about it. And, it just stirs more interest in something that everybody's so fired up about to begin with.
And to your point, Dave, with the new playoff, you can afford the losses in the non-conference, and it makes it, I think, more intriguing for these regular season showdowns.
Yeah, the margin for error, and we learned that the hard way in 2011 when only 2 teams were, of course, matched up, and we just missed by a fraction of a decimal point of making the national championship game. It was just a big bummer, but we should have won as a favorite at Iowa State. So we have to own that. That's just the way, you've got to win the ones you're supposed to, and we did not. But the expanded playoff is great that way. It gives you some room for error, and that's needed because teams can really evolve and change over the course of a season. And if a team is really, really getting better as the season rolls along, they deserve to have a spot. In the previous way of doing the playoff and the national championship game, that really wasn't very possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were on the other end of that with Ohio State last year, so I know what you mean, Dave, for sure. Final thoughts for Dave Hunziker, talking with the voice of Oklahoma State. Okay, back to this game. I always ask, keys. Final question, keys. What does it take for Oklahoma State to get a win against the Ducks at Autzen?
Well, this is, we were discussing this yesterday as a broadcast crew, and we started doing a little bit of research. And this is, when you think of it, talent from top to bottom, this is definitely one of the most talented teams just in terms of football and athletic talent that I think I've seen here in the last 25 years. There would be some Texas and Oklahoma teams, probably Texas 2 years ago, that honestly, if you look at the NFL draft, for example, might be just a notch above Oregon, but not very many. Maybe the Oklahoma team in 2008 might be another, not very many. So if that's the case, you're going to have to be mistake-free. Your special teams are going to have to be really, really good. And you're going to have to find a way to rush the football to give yourself a chance so that defensively you've got them in some degree of run-pass conflict somehow. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you have to have some degree of a run game to give yourself a chance offensively to maybe take some of those downfield shots. And again, keep the defense honest. Your quarterback, when you can't rush the football, your quarterback it's not good, especially against a team that has the defensive talent that the Ducks do. So I think those are the big things. And then, you're dealing with some Ducks that are, very, very skilled players on offense as well. So your tackling, it better be really good. These are going to be some of the hardest guys that you have to tackle, probably the most challenging guys to bring down all year long. So your tackling, it better be really, really good.
He's Dave Hunziker. He'll have the call on the Cowboy Radio Network coming up this weekend from Autzen. Dave, I can't thank you enough. Travel safe to Eugene. Looking forward to seeing you here at Autzen.
Cannot wait to come out there. So excited to make the trip and get a chance to experience your campus and your football game day. And it's a really cool opportunity, and just thrilled to be a part of it. And thanks for having me. And it's a great conversation, my friend.
And I did not know that Dave Hunziker was a professional bowler who has bowled 4 perfect games in his life. I have never bowled a perfect game in my life, and now I hope that someday I'll be able to at least get a spare in the same round as Dave Hunziker. That was fun talking with the voice of the Cowboys. He'll have the call on the Oklahoma State side coming up for a 12:30 kickoff at Autzen Stadium on Saturday. 10:30, our pregame show gets rolling. We'll talk with a couple student athletes, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Aaron Flowers. Got the start. Played a lot of young defensive backs that have been in the rotation for the Ducks. How deep will that rotation continue? We'll find out when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. Aaron Flowers, one of many defensive backs that saw significant snaps for the Ducks in Week 1. He met with the media this week, getting us ready for Game 2 against Oklahoma State. Aaron Flowers.
How did it feel to make the start this weekend, and how do you feel like you played?
It felt great. You know, I thought I could play better for sure. Could have made more tackles, but I felt great for my first start out there, so can't really complain.
Oklahoma State's for sure going to test you guys more in the secondary, throw some deep shots. How exciting is that for you after you guys didn't really get tested too much in the Montana State game?
That's really exciting for us because I feel like we're ready to get tested and really young secondary. Everyone's just not sure about us, and we're sure to go out there and play our best for sure.
Touched on it there. How much of a motivating factor was this offseason of a lot of people talking outside the program of just uncertainty of who's going to play, how good you guys are going to be with everyone new?
That motivated us a lot for sure because they said like we were young, untested, and then I feel like everyone in our position group was just trying our best, playing good in practice and getting ready for a game. So I feel like motivated us a lot for sure.
What's the difference between preparing for a team like Montana State that ran the ball a lot versus a team like Oklahoma State that likes to get downfield?
I feel like for DBs, for sure, it's more backpedaling instead of trying to just be in the run fit and more pass thought first and run thoughts for sure.
From what you've seen from Brandon, just what makes him different among that group of young guys that are here, but for true freshmen to start immediately?
His mindset for sure is different. He's always here, first guy in, last guy out. Ask every question in film, just asking every question you can, asking what the safeties do, what the stars do, just trying to learn the best. So he knows defense all throughout, so that's why he's playing.
You said that you feel like your room is ready. What to you shows up in practice that tells you that this group is ready to be tested?
I just see us going out there making plays and practice against our offense, which is one of the best in the nation. So I feel like we're just ready to play and ready against everybody.
Where do you think you improved the most from last year going into this year?
I feel like mentally I improved the most. I feel like mentally last year I wasn't as ready as I am this year. I for surely this year I think I'm motivated and just knowing what my whole defense is doing and where I can fit in each specific play and not just knowing my exact position, but everybody what they're doing.
It's a small sample to go off of, but what have you seen from their quarterback who was the backup, but obviously will be the starter this week?
I feel like they both are really good quarterbacks. They're both going to try to take shots because I feel like that's where their offense is. And I feel like he's good. Just try to take top off. And then I can't really tell from a small sample size, but that's what their main offense is.
You guys rotated a ton in the secondary all game. I don't know if that was pre-planned for you, but it was pretty surprising for outside people for the program. How does that help you guys?
That helps us, keeps us fresh, just going out there in the game so you're not all just gas tired, just playing all 80 snaps on defense, and then just having enough two deep for you can rotate guys and then play so you're fresh and have the best players out there. So
how does the relationship that you're able to build with the guys in that DB room throughout the offseason stuff play a factor when you're on the field for that first game, being able to communicate and make sure you guys are working together properly?
I feel like whenever we have a good relationship, for example, me, Dylan, and all the corners and all the safeties, we're just really close. So when it's on the field, our communication is on point and we have good chemistry and be able to pass routes without talking and just shoving. So I feel like that's a really strong point for us.
Saturday just was your first time back again playing in a full Autzen Stadium. I know you guys have been practicing in an empty Autzen Stadium for a while up until Saturday. What makes Autzen just a really tough environment to play in, especially maybe for the team that you're going to see Saturday with an unexperienced quarterback that hasn't been in the game for a lot of those tough environments?
I feel like just the crowd for sure. I mean, I feel like it's one of the loudest stadiums in America. I mean, if you're opposite team just in there, I mean, I feel like it's hard to play with all the crowd noise and all that. So
when you guys win by 50 and you guys aren't tested that much as a secondary, what was film review like for you guys going back and watching that game? What did you pick up on?
I feel we still made like some mistakes we could have picked up on, and then there's still like it's just a different viewpoint because there's more run first, Montana State. And then now we're just trying to see where our weak points are in the pass, because we got to be ready for the pass for Oklahoma State. So
realize, like you say, last week was pretty run heavy. But what does Tatum specifically mean to this defense off the edge, and what his presence is both as a run stopper but in pass rush?
I mean, I feel it makes us the pass for the DBs really easy. I mean, we have good edges. I mean, we don't have to cover for as long, so it's 3 seconds and we're good.
Getting to be on the field with Dylan for the first time at Autzen, how does he help just when you do have a young group that's playing together for the first time with the experience that he brings?
I mean, I feel like experience helps a lot in his leadership for sure. Whenever he's on the field, I mean, I know the guy next to me, I can trust him. He knows all the play calls. And if someone doesn't want to play, he go out there, really good communicator, so he helps get set up and gets us right.
That's Aaron Flowers talking about the defensive backfield for the Ducks. They will be tested a bit against an Oklahoma State team that does like to get the ball down the field, as you heard Dave Hunziker talking about earlier today. Timeout. Heading to the soccer pitch after this with Tracy Joiner, Duck head coach on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial #law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
Oregon soccer hitting the road, a 7 o'clock start on Friday against Seattle. As we welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Before hitting the road, Tracy Joiner, head coach of the Ducks, sat down with us here in the Country Financial Studio. We said before we sat down that this is a tight schedule, so I want to take everybody behind the scenes of this broadcast a little bit right now. So first, we're going to talk soccer with Tracy Joiner, head coach of the Oregon Ducks, is here. Tracy has a tight timeline because it's like you're training, then you're in meetings, then you pause a meeting to come in here and do a show with us. And then the day just continues right on. So my first question for you is, do you have to build in like a breath in your schedule? Like how's it going so far on the season in that regard?
Sort of. Yeah, you got to schedule time, just like downtime. I know. Yeah, we there's not a lot of free time for sure.
Would you have it any other way though? Like
no,
honestly.
this is what makes it so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love this. So, I think there's moments where, you're like, gosh, I can't wait for a break, and then you do have like your, so to speak, like day off, but then you find yourself
You're
like
bored.
bored, and I'm like,
I'm the
oh, okay,
same
like I can
way.
watch film, I can start like, scouting, I can start doing stuff. So,
I'm
it's
the
all
same
good.
way. Like I'm sitting there on Sunday, right? And it was before going to your guys' match on Sunday. And what am I doing? I'm watching the Oregon football game from the week before, and I'm watching UT Martin against Oklahoma State. Riveting stuff, right? And I get it. So but I had to ask you that because just the way that a day is scheduled, it's bang, 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 right?
It's nonstop, and then when you do have like a free moment, you're scheduling something else that you've been meaning to schedule for like a week now. So yeah, today was kind of an off day, but I had like 7 meetings today, and we've got Zooms and we've got all sorts of stuff. So
right. But you settle into a routine, don't you?
yes,
Kind
and
of.
no.
Like this week's unique. We're going to talk about this because this week coming up is unique that you only have one matchup, whereas the last couple you've had 2. So I don't know.
Yeah, typically, I mean, you get in like the cadence of the schedule for sure. Like Mondays are our day off, and that always feels like a Sunday.
Right.
But then it's everybody else's like first day of the week, so everyone is actually still like calling you and doing things.
Sorry about that, by the way.
No.
That's me. I originally asked Coach, I was like, hey, so do you want to do like Monday? Because that was the day we had done before for recording. And you were like, no. That is not the day that I am in the office. So I get it.
Yeah.
So here we are
Here we
later in
are.
the week, and it's
We're
worked
good.
out.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's all good. And yeah, you get in the routine of things for sure. But I feel like when you're in season, things just pop up. Not to lead into any further questioning, but injuries pop up, and you got to manage some things, and school starts in a few weeks. You got to meet with academic advice. There's just things that, as the season progresses, start to become more relevant.
Well, it was such a professional broadcaster transition that now I have no choice except to say injuries are the worst part of sports, aren't they?
They are. They're yeah. There's not anything worse.
It is the worst. So, on that note. Weekend review, Coach. What were your takeaways from the weekend for your squad?
I mean, some growth in a lot of ways. I think that it was just a long 2 weeks, I would say, like that Hawaii trip. It takes a lot out of you traveling, and I don't think that everybody like, oh, you got to go to Hawaii, like wah wah, boo-hoo. And it's like, yeah, it's a fun trip in a lot of ways, but we didn't get home till 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning from that trip, and then you've got to play a game like 48 hours later and still find a way to train and prepare and do film and lift and do all the things. So I think, I'm not someone that makes excuses at all. Like I'm like power through, get it done. But I think that we played against a seasoned team on Thursday night that's used to winning. They know how to win. They're really well coached. There's some extra motivation. It was their coach's 100th victory, so they're playing really hard for her. And, I thought that we did well in that game. We both that it was a 1-0 game, and I think most college games that are 1-0, like typically it could go either way. We had really similar shots on goal and saves, and
like every statistic, seriously, like almost every statistic was identical. It was actually pretty wild.
Exactly. And so, I felt good about that game, and I think when you lose and you don't get the result that you necessarily want, but that you played well, it's a different feeling than when you lose when you don't play well, and so it's like we could swallow that one and learn and grow from that. And then, unfortunately, we lost arguably one of our best defenders with an ACL tear on Friday morning at training, which was just really, really devastating. Not, obviously for our team, but just, for the player. And sad about that because, she's just a big part to our success moving forward. And so, with that being said, like huge opportunity for other players to step up and the whole team to level up. And that's the expectation. Is it's a long season. That's why you've got a big roster, is you need everybody. And I communicated that a lot from day one. And so going into the Sunday match was, I think we we had to move some players around and just try to, not reinvent the wheel, but, I felt really good about where we were at and positionally and rotations and things. And now we've got to, consider some other options, which again, that's just why I won't say this, what makes this fun. But that's coaching.
I
and
get it
that's
though. I
so,
know what you mean.
yeah.
Well, I was kind of curious. Like, you brought it up there. Like, when you have something like that happen, and then you got to turn around and play. I mean, that it's not like you can just like practice and try things out like it's in the preseason. How do you approach that as a coach? How does the coaching staff handle that? How does the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just getting ahead of things, and so that's kind of like, to my point, it was players that might not be getting minutes at all in the first month of season, but then like just encouraging, like, stay ready. Like, when we watch film, like, if you're not on the field, it doesn't matter. This information pertains to you. And it's hard to get like players to like understand that, because they're like, well, I'm not playing, so it's a little bit of a different vibe. But that's why, is like, things happen, and we just try to get ahead of it, and make sure players are still maintaining fitness and getting reps and competing at training, whether they're a 90-minute player or a player that doesn't see minutes. So it's tough, but I thought our players did really well on Sunday and showing up and trying to make the most of a bad situation. Yeah.
Well, and shoot, I mean, you talk about, like, you mentioned like the process, and you want that to be rewarded. Well, here you are, just like on the stat sheet. If you don't, again, like, so okay, it's context for everybody. 2 matches ago, it's like every statistic is even, and it's like, man, soccer is cruel. You said that afterwards. We were talking in the hallway. It became a thing this last week that soccer can be a cruel game. And then you outshoot them. You get tons of shots on goal. And again, if you don't look at the score, like, you go, oh, wow, Oregon, that's a nice performance after a bit of a tough 48-hour period. And now I don't even have a question for you. I was just like saying that out loud. I felt like, was that like the inner monologue on Sunday afterwards? Because that has to be. That's frustrating.
Yes. And honestly, like, there's just games like that. Yeah. You outshoot it, and this is not the stats, but like, you outshoot a team 20-1 and you lose 1-0, and that's just like, Soccer is probably one of the only sports that's not like, it's hard to bet on soccer,
Yeah, I get it. No,
Not that we do that in college sports,
That's
but
right.
like, what I'm saying is, like, when you look at like baseball statistics, basketball, football, like, it's pretty easy to like gauge a favorite just purely based on stats. Like, soccer is just one of those anomalies where, just crazy things happen. And they had, Grand Canyon had 2 goal line saves, where you hit it anywhere else but where we hit it, right, and it's a goal, and so it's a learning curve, and it's just, composure in front of the goal and making sure you finish your opportunities, but also like defensively, they're just in the right place at the right time, and I don't want to say they got lucky. Let's just say that they did their job.
You are far and away the foremost expert on soccer, certainly in this room, and probably one of them in the entire world. Let's just be honest about that. So I'm curious now, with that in mind, your perspective. Is that part of why you love the game, though? Is kind of because of this like beauty to it, that it is different from other sports?
Sure. Yeah, I think like the fluidity of the game is really exciting and really fun, and changing formations and moving players and like recognizing opponents' weaknesses and like, how can we exploit them versus like, where are we going to be exploited and how do we hide that deficiency? And yeah, I mean, it's definitely more fun going into a game like expecting to win, knowing that like you've done the right in preparation and that you've got that confidence. But that's also, if I'm being honest, like, why I'm here is I love building, and it's really rewarding for me to see just the year-to-year growth of not just the team but of the players. So yeah.
And then back to the comment, right, about like the fun of piecing it together, right?
Yeah.
So now here we are as you attempt to do that, heading into a matchup on the road against Seattle. A few extra days, I know now, to train and put those pieces together. How's it going? What's the process like heading into your next road matchup?
Yeah, we start practice tomorrow. We took 2 days off. We needed it. Just we're pretty banged up right now. So, but the players were all out in the field just training on their own today, which I was like, yes, I was so proud.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was good. We got good leadership, so, and yeah, just good vibe still. I think everyone, just is like, it's a little bit of a reset and just a refocus, and knowing that, one of our values is resilience and embracing adversity. And this this couldn't be a more heightened level of the value showcasing itself. And so, tomorrow we'll be back at it, and Seattle is a good team. They've got good results against, some like common opponents. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be another game on the road for us, but not that they're necessarily like a rival, but anything in the Pac Northwest feels like a rivalry to some degree. I'm looking forward to it, and I think that the team's in a good headspace, and we'll just get back after it and grind away.
Boy, you talk about building a culture. Like, let's come back to something that the team was out there on their own on an off day. Yeah. I know you said it, like, that has to be a proud moment for you and the coaching staff to an extent, right?
For sure. Yeah, just there's not a lack of motivation, which is big time, or discouragement, and because they are doing the right things. And I said this after the game. I think is that this is probably not a term used in any other sport, but like the soccer gods, sometimes like the ball just doesn't bounce your way, but eventually it does, and like that game on Sunday won't happen again. Like the ball will bounce to our feet instead of theirs. And like, you just have to keep working, keep doing the things that make us us. And eventually the ball bounces your way and you win 2-0 in a game like that. Right. And that's how it goes.
Friday, 7:00 against Seattle. It's on ESPN Plus. You can tune in. Might look a little different in the rotation, but again, that opportunity. And that's kind of the fun of it. You get to piece things together. Thanks for being here. What did we miss today? What else should fans know?
Nothing. Just like very excited about the support that we've had, and the crowd has been amazing. And like this should go without saying, but it is so valuable and so helpful to have fans supporting you. And I know like the energy that they provided, the excitement. Please keep coming, keep supporting us. We are definitely on the rise, and it's been just so fun, despite the outcomes in some ways, to just have so much support.
Vibes were high on Sunday. My son had a great time, right? So, I mean, I'm telling you, like, great time. And that does not happen all the time. I mean, like, that doesn't happen all the time. No. So thanks for what you've done. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Great stuff with Tracy Joiner, Oregon soccer head coach. They're on the road 7:00 on Friday against Seattle. Timeout, come back, wrap it up with a little bit of football, a little bit of volleyball, and we've got a men's basketball non-conference schedule. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Men's basketball non-conference schedule has dropped. Visit GoDucks.com for all the details. We told you earlier about that big matchup before Christmas with Gonzaga. The Ducks have a lot of home games. They'll be returning to the Players Era Festival in Vegas around the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm looking forward to men's basketball season getting rolling. Of course, a pair of Oregonians returning in Jackson Shellstad and Nate Biddle, part of a roster that's going to be competing for a Big Ten championship coming up here and trying to get back to the NCAA tournament again under Coach Altman. All right, we don't have time for all of it, but I want to play a little bit of Dave Iuli. Offensive linemen are always fun. Let's hear a little bit from Dave Iuli after week 1 for the Ducks.
Like getting back in a starting capacity and then moving from one side of the line to the other mid-game there?
Oh, man, it was really good. I felt like first game was a really good start to how we wanted to put the season out, especially as O-linemen. Compared to this season, last season, we started off slow, and I feel like this year we started off fast, and if we keep that momentum up, it'll be good.
Just after taking a chance to kind of really look at the film, just what excites you the most about this matchup on Saturday?
They're a very good team. Just studying film, and I don't know about anything excites me. It's just, I'm just treating it like another game, and it's all about the process, and that's what we're all about here. So if we just focus on one day at a time, one play at a time, I feel like that's all that matters.
How much pride do you take in being able to move across the offensive line and kind of fit in wherever they need you?
Oh, man, I take a lot of pride in that because wherever the coaches need me, wherever you need me, I'll play and I'll give you my full effort at it as well.
How much do you feel like the experience you were able to get last year, starting some of those games down the stretch, helped you on Saturday and your first start in Autzen?
It helped me a lot because if I think about it, last year we were in the Big Ten and into a little bit more bigger games, so I felt like my stress and my anxiety was way low in my first game this year, so I feel like last year has helped me a lot to improve as a player and as a man for sure.
Harkey certainly brings a certain kind of mentality, nastiness to the field. Just how would you describe how he plays, not just every day in practice, but even what you saw in this first game from him?
Physical. Harkey is definitely a physical guy. Getting to know him more, coming from Texas State and everything, Harkey has been a great teammate, especially me playing right guard and him at right tackle right next to me. I'll say Harkey is definitely a guy that a lot of people need to look out for because not only is he physical, he's also a great guy in mentality as well.
That's Dave Iuli, Oregon guard. I can't even say left guard, right guard, just guard offensive lineman. That position versatility on display in week 1. We'll see here heading into week 2 how many Ducks rotate on that O-line. Tomorrow, it's a Food Friday. Jerry and Jorgie will be here. See you then.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you.